You're in a room. The room is white. It's so white it's burning your eyes. Across from you is a door. It's blue, and etched in the wood are rosemaries. So the term media literacy is getting thrown around quite a bit now, and I would like to put my 2 cents onto what it means. I have noticed a increase in looking not all that deep into things. I noticed in the haircut scene in Frankenstein, people just took it at face value as a haircut and not the dehumanization of the creature. And then I also saw many a comment about Stranger Things when Elle and Max are at the mall. Everybody, not everybody, but some people said it was just about clothes. And there's nothing wrong with looking at the surface, but we have to look deeper, especially when the piece of media is asking us to. Take Frankenstein. It's so much. Mary Shelley wrote that book to be about the woman experience and like motherhood based off men's egos, where women are expected to immediately love their child, and we shame Victor for not loving his child. Granted, he didn't do a good job. Even the one woman in Frankenstein saw the creature and was like, oh, okay, I'm gonna actually respect him. Unlike Victor, but I digress. And as a society, we need to be able to look deeper into propaganda pieces. There is a exercise a lot of schools do where they take period pieces and they try to say what is trying to be conveyed and which way it's trying to sway you. There's a great example of during one of the world wars where Russia had to Photoshop watches out of their soldiers' wrists because they were not supposed to take them. But you know what? They did. They did. And that was to convince the government, like, hey, we're doing a super good job. That's propaganda. We need to look deeper into it. And it's not just a choice of literacy rates dropping and whatnot. It's a systematic educational erasure. They want us to be stupid so we are easier to control. You see this in the rise of prescriptions. I saw something briefly. I didn't have the mind capacity to look at it fully, but they're trying to move to subscription-based for computers. My computer, right here in front of me, would not be owned. It would be a service you subscribe to. And especially with the Super Bowl ads come up, a lot of it was AI slop, and especially the Ring doorbell ad. When you look at it at the surface, it is just an ad about dogs. And then you look a little deeper and you realize how weird it is. You're giving a group of people access to your privacy. And unfortunately, they are trying to take away every little privacy, every little thing you own away. We see this a lot in how printers, subscription, computers, subscription, because then they can raise the prices, and what are you gonna do? Where does that lead us? That leads us to media literacy rates, where it stems. If we cannot look further into things, then it's over. Then we have been caught in their web. I gotta fix my mix, Mandy. There we are. But, it hurts. Because I was talking about this today of how people are struggling to understand classics like Pride and Prejudice, and mainly it's because of the words. And of course, if I have to look up a word, no big deal, but I can, most people can use context clues. Of course, when you allow a society to devolve into not taking every bit of knowledge that they can and relying on AI to learn all these things, it creates a issue. Everything has meaning because we give it meaning. Take, let me see here, the chrysanthemum, a flower. By itself, it has no meaning, but the language of flowers from Victorian times, we gave it meaning to mean something. We as humans are always trying to find a meaning to something. It is just our nature. The example I gave at the very beginning of this video, blue also means sadness, but it can also mean happiness. In the context, sadness. You are trapped in this unlocked room. You are trapped in this unlocked room. You are not trapped physically, but mentally you are. The rosemary on the door. Rosemary means remembrance. Do you need to forget something or do you need to remember? People may say I am going far too deep, but I'm tired of playing in the kiddie pool. I'm not going to live life just through one meaning. I'm going to find the meaning of everything. And maybe the meaning it has is no meaning at all. Humans don't really have a defined purpose. Our only real purpose is to leave this world as a better place than what we found it. We're not, for example, these headphones of mine. They are designed to give me a personal experience of sound and also look cool. But even the pink bow on here, if you saw this, you would immediately think of Hello Kitty because this shape with the pink bow and the color scheme is so recognizable. And even people who read often, bowl of soup. And here comes the Akratar fans. Or even violets, fourth wing. Let's see here. What else do we have? A bear on a top hat. FNAF. We are always looking for meanings, but I don't think some of us really recognize that. And it's interesting to see, especially with the type of media we are consuming at the moment. It's fast. It's in your face. If you have to wait 2 extra seconds to consume something, it's too slow. We can speed up 3-second videos. And of course, I myself am guilty of that, but I definitely need to work on my attention span. But still, if we can only consume 3 seconds, how far will that go until we're not really in the moment? We're just trying to find the next high. And if that next high doesn't come immediately, it's frustrating. It's incredibly interesting to see all of this going on in real time, especially with movie analysis. I've recently seen the movie Iron Lung by Markiplier. Absolutely amazing. Go see it. And just seeing the monster and having him be down there and the water and the condensation of the x-rays kind of just being there, it's interesting. The total isolation of feeling alone and like nobody else is there, and the one thing that is there is definitely not wanting you there. It's incredibly well done, and I saw some people say that it was boring. Even the quiet parts were meaningful. The little stick, twig, leaf pendant he had, that had meaning to him. I haven't watched the playthrough yet, but he came from Eden, and that tree meant some hope for him. And I really liked it. It was very well done. I didn't really find any boring parts because I was analyzing it as I was watching it, which I love to do. And I've noticed another trend as well. Of course, I'll talk about this particular issue once I review Nightbane next week, but I couldn't figure out why I wasn't liking it as much as the other books I've read. And I realized it was just kind of telling me. It was very surface. There was no smells, no sights, no metaphors, no anything really. It was just kind of shallow, which I do hope it gets better. I am always one to support new and young artists, but it is really hard as a reader to pretty much be told everything. She went here, he went there. Tell me how their muscles feel as they swing that sword. Tell me what they smell. Tell me what they feel their home is like. Because describing things there's a difference between knowing and explaining it. I could explain to you what my room smells like and you wouldn't get it, but I would have to use things that are kind of universal to describe kind of like the woody smell around me. Of course, I have like a bunch of wood, but there's so much more than that because it's also like some plants. I have some dried flowers in here, and it's very specific. But it's something I don't think about. Ooh, excuse me. It's a little chilly in here. But the thing is, if we don't look deeper, how are we connect on a level beyond just acquaintances? How do we become living room friends when we know nothing of this person? How do we take it's not that deep? Where does that lead us? Your friend, of course, exaggerating here a lot, but your friend has this habit of picking at their nails when they are anxious. We say that in a book. Are we going to pick that up? If it's mentioned once, are we going to remember it in the future? We also see this a lot in the last season of Stranger Things. It was a season designed to be on the background while you do anything else and not sitting down and watching it. And it shows. Everything is being re-explained every few minutes. Well, you just sit there and you're like, okay. And as someone who watched the entire season, it was pretty obvious. Of course, if I was doing something while I was watching it, it would be so bad. But you look at that versus something else that released last year, K-pop Demon Hunters. The metaphor of I'm not hiding, I'm shining, and Rumi covering her scars. Not her scars, but her patterns. She wasn't actually living herself. Even the song Golden versus what it sounds like. Golden is the clean version. It's the one that society likes. what it sounds like is raw. The specific line, "Let the jagged edges meet the light instead." We don't have to be perfect. Of course, when we analyze movies just at face value, we just see a girl group going through hunter things, but the deeper part of the movie is acceptance. Not only the acceptance of who we are, but others. And the difference between how well that was executed versus how poorly Stranger Things was. It was, as much as I do love both entities, I wish I just had more from Stranger Things. I will not be getting off my high horse on that one because honestly, we should call out things like that. If it wasn't well written, we can at least make our voices heard so anybody moving forward can keep that in mind. And I think Lightlark, back to that subject, is having that issue. We have been okay with surface level analysis for so long that it's seeping into our culture. And it's interesting to see. I really hope this trend does not go any further. But if it does, I don't know where we're headed. It could be anywhere, honestly, and I don't really want to see that future. And I do hope I'm explaining this well. I don't really have a script for a lot of these. I don't have time to sit down and write a whole script. I kind of just ad-lib it. But of course, I'll get to writing scripts as soon as I'm not working 24/7. But the point I'm trying to make is we can't only look 2 inches of the surface. We have to get to the core of the issue. The classic books are great at this. Shakespeare, absolutely amazing. Specifically, Romeo and Juliet. Juliet is a girl who's not being listened to. The moral of that story is listen. Sit down, shut your mouth, open your ears. And because those things were not done, tragedy struck 2 families. Let's go further in this, actually. Let's take children's books, because it's not that deep. It's a children's book. I saw a play. Of course, it was, I want to say around the 50s. It's been a while, but it was about racism. And in particular, a children's book, black and white, with 2 bunnies. One black, one white. They did that for stylistic choice because it's easier to see. Even in the writing of children's books, we see a lot of simpler grammar. That's because we're trying to teach children to speak. And we can't really do that if we're using really big, elegant words. We can build up from there. But even the rainbow fish. Let's take that one for example. The rainbow fish's scales are bright and shiny. For children, that means something shiny is also prized. So having this fish share their beauty, their talents, it's a very important message for kids to learn. But you also take in pictures and everything like that. If the door is red, maybe it's just to make the door pop. Why are we looking at the door? Is it because someone is coming home or something? Even if there seems like there is no deeper meaning, there is always something more. When, especially in children's book, when someone comes home, sometimes there's a shot of the door and then the whoever's coming home peeking through. we associate the door with them coming home and homecoming. Let me see. Actually, great example. My big, long painting. I modeled it after life, the different stages. Each flower I chose represented something, from the tree of life to the marigold of death. And I did that because I found it cool. My other painting of a cat angel in a garden, I was just screwing around and messing with glitter paint. But black cats in some cultures are a representation of luck. And having this guardian angel who's a black cat sounded really cool to me. Let's see. We see a lot of this in poetry as well, and songwriting. A lot of Hosier songs are amazing works of digging deeper. Sometimes they are about just being a mummy in a bog, and that's okay. But why did he choose to write that song and compare it to a love story? Actually, on the topic, sweet cherry wine. A lot of people don't listen to lyrics. Not a lot of people, but there's a certain demographic who will propose to sweet cherry wine, which is an abuse song. If you took 2 extra seconds to look a little deeper and look at the lyrics, you would see it's an abuse song. Close fist or open hand would be fine. The blood is rare and sweet like cherry wine. And that's why it's incredibly important to look deeper into things, because you don't want to propose to an abuse song. Maybe pick anything else, like literally anything else, please. Francesca's right there. But I digress. Whew, lovelies. It has been definitely a day and a week. I'm going to try to keep up on my normal schedule. I will try. If I don't, well, I'll still try. No promises though. It's been really busy, but that being said, go have some water, get a cookie, and I love you. All right, bye-bye now. Mwah.